Telling Georgia supporters yesterday that his second criminal indictment is only helping his poll numbers go way up. Joining us to discuss Trump's indictment is Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee. Thank you so much for being with us this Sunday afternoon, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. And I couldn't agree more. I think what you're going to see coming out of the gate here is a Trump that's ready to fight. He, quite frankly, I think strives kind of under this intense pressure. And, right after the indictment, I was texting with the president and he was in good spirits. But look, the Biden family is nothing more than a criminal enterprise. If I wrote a novel that included a president, his son, and there was crack cocaine and there was hookers and there was bribes from foreign countries, it would be laughed off as a bad plot, right? But it's a true story. And literally the Biden family is going to go down in history as is nothing more than a criminal enterprise that the mafia could envy.
A lot of people are saying, specifically people on the left and the rhinos, they said, he brought this on himself and no one is above the law. But, I think no one is beneath the law either. If you were to survey, say, 100 people outside of our Midtown Manhattan studio, and most of the people, because it's New York City, will hate Donald Trump. But if you were to ask them, would this be happening to anyone else where he would be facing life behind bars over the way he possibly handled some documents? Not that he sold them, not that he altered them, not that they wound up in the hands of our adversaries, possibly how he handled them. He could go to prison for the rest of his life. If you ask those people, I guarantee you 99% of them would say, absolutely, this is only happening because this is Donald Trump. And that in it of itself is political persecution. What do you think, Congressman?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I'm a very conservative member of Congress, probably one of the top 10 most conservative. I'm a Freedom Caucus member, and I would be appalled if this was happening to Bill Clinton or Barack Obama. The idea that suddenly you leave office and you have the Department of Justice weaponized against you for political retribution. It's time that Republicans, we're going to have to win the House back, the Senate and the White House, and there needs to be a true purge in the Department of Justice and what this current leadership has done. Again, like you said, Trump is being targeted because of who he is, and they're terrified of him. I'm going to predict that Trump is going to win the Republican primary and that he will be our next president.
You made an excellent point, and I couldn't agree with you more, that if this was even happening to Bill Clinton, if this was happening to any other former president, if this was even happening to Biden over the way if he stored the documents in a secured facility with I just think it's outrageous. And that's what I think the point needs to be made, that it didn't need to go to this level. And the millions and millions of dollars that are going to be spent on this case. And also, Trump, he kind of sucks the oxygen out of a room. And instead of us focusing on maybe his great policies or focusing on DeSantis or any of the other candidates, and also the reckless policies of Joe Biden, the border, the drug, we're now focusing on this indictment. And also we're not focusing on the possible bribery scheme involving the Biden family. So it also kind of serves as a distraction. What do you think, Congressman?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's absolutely a distraction. I mean, you look at the policies, the economy's in the tank. From a foreign policy perspective, we're a joke. You have China advancing on Taiwan. Obviously, you have Russia in the Ukraine conflict. The southern border is a disaster. 5 of the sectors are now under the control of our southern border, United States southern border. Over half of it is under control of the Mexican cartel. You have, 300,000 people crossing the border, on a now a regular basis. Is becoming a monthly thing. This is unacceptable. And the only way they can try to distract America is with this circus of an indictment against Trump. And keep in mind, every small town in America is now a border town, and we all know someone, either directly or indirectly, some college kid that's overdosed on fentanyl. Why? Mm-hmm. Because this administration is feckless, it's corrupt, and they're not doing their job. And quite frankly, Biden, Kamala, Mayorkas, they all should be impeached for dereliction of duty.
Thank you so much, Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee, and have a great Sunday.
You as well. Thank you.
Well, we want to hear from you about the federal indictment, a former